Hispanic Connection.
Welcome to AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection, for another amazing show. Today we have a very special show. It could have been more special though, but something happened, so it'll be just special, but not super special. Why? Because we were hoping to bring a mariachi into the studio today. Can you imagine if we would have been successful in getting a mariachi in the room today? That would have been amazing. But, you know, things do happen, and we did not have it. But it's interesting because the topic today is entertainment, American mariachi. That is the subject today, entertainment, American mariachi. See, sometimes the tongue doesn't do well when you mix the English and the Spanish pronunciation. Anyhow, entertainment, American mariachi is the subject today. And before I proceed, I would like to ask you, if you are doing Facebook, if you are listening to radio, please know that this show is being Facebook Live. And I would like to ask you to find us on Facebook at AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection, and follow our page and share it with others. Help us spread the word. This is a platform that we use to educate, to celebrate, and to connect the community. We hope that the sound is going out well, and I believe it is. Thank you so much, Alex. All right, here we go. Well, today, again, the topic is entertainment, American mariachi. And why are we doing this? What is this American mariachi? Well, it's a play. It's a play that has come to Phoenix, Arizona. And if I'm not mistaken, it starts today, Jose?
That's right.
Perfect. Let me introduce my guest. My guest is the playwright of this amazing play that is called American Mariachi. Jose Cruz Gonzalez, welcome to our show today.
Thank you. It's so good to be here. Great. I'm excited to come and have this conversation with you and to share to our friends out there what a beautiful play we have here that's arrived to Phoenix. It's going to be here for a number of weeks.
Now, let me ask you a question, because I am a naturalized American who have been in the United States for over 40 years. I came to the United States when I was 12. And plays, theater it's not something like that runs in my family. So let me ask you that question. Yep. Is this typical, or I'm totally in left field, and there is really an interest for theater, for plays within the Hispanic community?
Well, I have to say, you're not alone.
Okay.
We have a lot in our community that don't have access, to the arts. For many, many reasons, right? Mm-hmm. Most of our families and parents are usually working 1 or 2 jobs. Our kids are going to school, and just getting bread on the table is most important, right?
Right.
And so the arts sort of kind of take a back seat to things. But I think a culture's wealth is in a community's wealth is in its culture,
right? In
its music, in its food, in its traditions.
Right.
And I think for our community, we love those things.
Right, definitely.
And especially with mariachi music, which is something me encanta. I just love it because it's a soundtrack to our lives. Yeah. If you think about it, they're there at the beginning when we're born.
Right.
We're there when we get baptized. We're there when we have our quinceañeras, our birthdays. We're there when we get married, and we're there when they say they give us our final goodbye.
Mariachis are usually for special occasions. They're not necessarily like for the dance part of parties.
That's right.
But that acompañamiento, that special celebration, they're all over the place.
That's right. So in wanting to tell this story about American mariachi, I'm a student of mariachi. I'm not a professional.
Okay.
But I've been studying it for about 10 years. And, I'm a storyteller, and I love to listen to people tell stories. And American Mariachi evolved from just listening to other maestros
Yeah.
share their stories.
And we're going to get to the nitty gritty and the
Yeah.
details of that, Jose. So you are Jose Cruz Gonzalez. Cruz, is it your first of the two last name or your middle name?
Gonzalez is my middle name. It's my grandmother, my Nana Cruz.
Got it.
So that's where I got that.
Yeah. And please know, everyone who is listening to our show today, that there is a play that it starts today. The play is called American Mariachi. And Jose, please tell us, this is not new necessarily. It's new in Phoenix. Can you tell us where you have been so far?
Sure. So this is a play that I started in 2015, inspired by the idea of women playing mariachi music back in the 1970s here in the United States. So the play was commissioned, which was the Denver Theater Center in Colorado said, Jose, we want you to write a play for us. What do you want to write? I said, I want to write this play called American Mariachi. And so it premiered there last year in February. And it ran there from February to March, and then it moved to San Diego to the Old Globe Theater, and it went from there from March to April, and they sold out in both places.
All of them?
Yes.
Amazing.
And what was much more amazing was a new audience was coming in. That audience that you were talking about earlier, that, well, we're not really theater goers.
Yeah.
Well, they came in droves. That, it might be a husband and wife, and then they'd bring their abuelas or their parents, and then the kids would show up. So we had families in this event. It was really fantastic. And what was exciting to see is you have your season subscribers, folks who come to see they buy a package and they see 4 or 5 shows, whatever.
This is at the theater.
This is at the theater.
Right.
And then you have our community coming in who, again, they're not really traditional theater goers.
Right.
And suddenly you hear La Negra, the song of La Negra start out, and you start hearing gritos, and you start hearing people singing along. And
amazing.
It was just really an exciting, electric moment for the audience.
And Jose, I did go to a play as part of my work. AARP took us as a celebration kind of thing. I think it had to do with volunteers. We actually took the volunteers to a play in I forget the name. On Peoria 83rd, around that sector of our city. And to be frank with you, I was amazed. I loved it. I think I'm pretty sure it was my first time. And then my wife was with you in the group when you had what was that called, that activity?
That event was, you mean there at the Tucson Theater?
No, here when you...
Oh, so, I don't know what it was called. It was some sort of talk back where I had the opportunity to talk with community leaders and
about the play.
Yes. And it was a talk back with James Garcia, who led that discussion. He was so fantastic at asking questions, and then finally a chance to talk to the audience and answer questions.
My wife was there.
Oh, okay.
And she and I are sold. We are going.
Awesome.
So please remember, audience, if you're out there, please know that there is a play, has come to Phoenix. We're going to get to the nitty gritty, the definition, what it is, what's about, and the dates and the place and all that. But please stay tuned. And if you are joining by Facebook Live, share the page. We would like the whole city of Arizona and beyond, the whole city of Phoenix, my apologies, to hear about this play and to find out how you're going to be able to go and buy tickets and all that. But this is an amazing play. It's called American Mariachi. Even just the name, mariachi is a Mexican thing, so why you name it American and all that? I'm going to ask you all those kinds of questions.
Great, I'm looking forward to answering those questions.
We're going to get a little bit about the history of the mariachi. How did it come to the U.S., if it's something, more of a Mexican, heritage, etc. So stay tuned. You are listening to AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection. Jose Cruz Gonzalez is our guest today. He is the playwright of American Mariachi, a play who starts today in Phoenix, Arizona. And let me see if I get the name right. Is it Herberger?
Herberger, that's right.
Herberger.
In downtown Phoenix.
What is the full name? Herberger Center, yes, and we'll give the full cross streets and all that in just a bit. But I'm looking forward to joining this play, to watching it and being there. So stay with us. We'll be right back in just a minute.
Celebrate. Connect. Arizona Hispanic Connection.
Thank you. Thank you for staying with us. This is AARP Arizona Hispanic Connection with a very exciting show today. It's called Entertainment American Mariachi. And we are going to be asking Jose Cruz, the playwright, to give us, to tell us what is the story about. I mean, I already know it because I did some research. It's an amazing story. I know you'll like it. Let me just say to all of you who are planning, and hopefully many of you will plan to go to this play. It's going to be at the Herberger Theater Center. Across streets are 3rd Street and Monroe. 3rd Street and Monroe. It'll go from the 4th of April to the 21st. The 4th, which is today. Today, the 4th of April through the 21st. Wednesday through Friday, it'll be at 7:30 p.m. And then Saturday, you have 2 shows, at 2 and at 7:30. Right? And then Sunday, also at 2 and at 7. I got it right. So we're going to keep repeating the schedules. But then I believe there's also a website. It's called a Herberger. The website? ArizonaTheater.org. And I'm going to write it down because I want to keep announcing it again. So ArizonaTheater.org. If you want all the details, if you don't have time to remember all the details that we're giving you today. But let's get to the nitty-gritty of things. Jose Cruz Gonzalez is the playwright. Why don't you share with the audience, Jose, this is a beautiful story, the story about American Mariachi. Go ahead.
Oh, absolutely. So excited to share that. So as a student of mariachi, I began to... in a student group, it's both men and women playing, right? And a number of the women that I was playing with are professional mariachis themselves. In fact, that's how they would get through school. They would go play, chambas, gigs on weekdays or weeknights, to make enough to go to school.
Right.
Where I teach at Cal State LA in Los Angeles. And there was this young woman, Stacy Lopez, who plays with Mariachi Colibri, Las Colibri. And she's a vihuela player, considered one of the best in the country. And Stacy was telling me one day as we were finishing this event at school about a gig that she went to where the mariachi played for about an hour to this one song over and over again to this little señora. And she just would light up. And I thought about that a lot, how music can play a really important role in our lives, but in particular for people who are battling Alzheimer's or dementia. And so there was that aspect. But as I dug deeper and listening to these stories, from my hometown in a little town called Freedom, Watsonville, Santa Cruz, California.
Of course. I'm familiar with Watsonville.
You Watsonville.
And Salinas,
okay. Yeah. So in that little town, there was a woman named Laura Sabrino Cano, who would become one of the early pioneers, professional women mariachi players in the United States.
Okay.
And she would eventually go on to be one of the first women to play with men in Los Angeles and train both men and women, the next generations of mariachis. And so I remember interviewing Laura about that. And then it turns out that Cindy Rafer Flores, my musical director, a white Jewish woman from Rochester, New York, classically trained just like Laura, became a mariachi. She went to Santa Cruz. And so that's where she played with Laura.
These ladies that you just mentioned, they learned the music, because I think you would agree with me that many of the musicians from mariachi, from the past especially, they did not study music. It was all ear, right?
That's right. So it's a musical form that has traditionally been passed on from father to son.
Right.
And so these young women, back in the 70s, began to play with men. And of course, the men wouldn't have it. They would turn their backs on them. They wouldn't show them what they're playing. But because Laura and Cindy were classically trained, they could exactly know what they were doing.
Right.
I remember Cindy saying, when she heard La Negra, she could figure it out within a minute. She knew how to
Wow.
play La Negra.
Wow.
So
That's the advantage of learning
classically, yeah,
right, classically.
and where this is an oral language, lesson
Right.
where they learn it to hear it.
Mhm.
And that back in that time, it's not music. It's not read. The music's not written down.
Right.
You just listen to it
Right,
by the
right,
records
right.
and the jukebox, all that sort of stuff.
Mhm.
And little by little, that's how you learn to play it. And most of these musicians were coming from Mexico.
Mhm.
With the immigrant population coming here to come and work wherever, you need those mariachis to play,
Mhm, mhm.
and that's where they learned it.
Right. So American Mariachi, the storyline is basically about a female group. Is that what it is?
It's about a story. Yeah, it really comes down to Lucha. This
Lucha.
young Lucha Morales is a young woman. She's about in her early 20s, going to community college. She wants to be a nurse one day. Her father's a mariachi,
Mhm.
but he also has a second job, and the mother is battling dementia, and so she's the primary caretaker. And there's one day where Lucha plays this old little 45 record,
Mhm.
and her mother listens to it, and she just comes alive, and she starts to sing, and she sees her mother. A side of her mother she's not seen in a long time as she's been battling dementia.
Right.
Somehow the record gets broken, and she decides, Lucha, on her own with her prima Boli, I got to learn my mom's song. I'm going to play it for her so I can see that again.
Right, right.
Bring her back.
Right.
And so thus starts this impossible journey of trying to find other women to play mariachi.
Mhm.
They don't have instruments.
Right.
They don't know the music.
Mhm.
They don't even know how to read music.
Right.
And nobody's going to teach them.
Right.
And so they go on a quest to find
Amazing.
a way to make that happen. And it's
Why so basically nobody would teach them because of the concept that mariachi is a tough stuff for the men.
It's for the men. Women don't do that.
Is the
And,
drinking, is the partying, and
well, exactly. Back in that day, women weren't allowed in bars.
right.
So women would not go to bars because that's not.
So it was pretty much linked to that kind of environment, and
That
I guess as
culture.
parents would just say, "Forget
Yes.
it, my daughter's not going
No.
there. No way."
Yeah.
Right.
And even
okay.
to this day, in some mariachis that I've talked to, they won't permit that to their
Right.
daughters.
Right. Right.
But things have changed, and it's really beautiful to see now how music is crossed over.
Now, so let me see if I'm getting this right. So is this a storyline that you develop? Take it from an actual story, or not necessarily?
Well, I created it myself, but this is just based upon all these interviews and talking to people, and then beginning to say, well, how do I tell this story, and how do we enter into this world for this audience to see? And so our protagonist is Lucha,
Lucha.
the woman, the young woman who has this impossible dream.
And why did you pick the name Lucha?
Because
Well,
she's luchando, she's-
right. So
yeah.
it comes from the verb luchar,
Yeah.
and lucha is
Yeah.
a name as
But
well.
you think of Lucha Villa,
Of course.
some of
I
these
get it. I get
amazing
it.
women.
No, I think you picked an amazing name, very
Yeah.
appropriate
Yeah.
for the Spanish audience to link it,
Yeah.
because as we know, lucha is a struggle.
That's right.
And then to struggle is to luchar, right?
That's right.
So it's very fitting, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So what are you trying to highlight in this play that you wrote? That is obviously it became that play that is. I haven't seen it. I saw some clips on the internet, and it just sounds amazing. So what are you trying to highlight?
I'll tell you, there were a number of things that I wanted to talk about. One, I wanted to celebrate our community. Rarely do we get see ourselves on stage or film or television. We're always secondary characters.
Right.
Here I wanted to celebrate our parents, our grandparents, our musicians, our women, and to tell that story. So we enter into that world.
Okay.
The other part that to me was really, really important was to celebrate those young women of that time that did something revolutionary,
Right.
which was to do something that no one would expect them to do, and they did it. And it wasn't just here in California or
Right.
Arizona; it was all over the United States where
Right.
these women were doing it. The other part to me too was as I learned mariachi to play it, I found that there are at the surface level people will go, oh, they're those guys with the funny suits and the big hats, and they bother you when you're eating, at a restaurant, and they're
Right.
too loud and you can't have a conversation. But I wanted to dig deeper for that audience. For an audience that doesn't know mariachi, I wanted to share with them what it means to the community, why that music is so important to an immigrant community that comes here and then plants roots here, and their children, touch on that.
Right.
And so I wanted to celebrate that and dig down, and so that we're not. There's deeper layers there. When you
Right.
think about that, this music is hundreds of years old. It comes from the conquest of the New World.
Right.
When the Spaniards first brought those musical
And you know what?
instruments and the
I'm going
blending
to
of
ask
the
you
New
about
World.
that, about that, because I think that's super important. So basically, you're trying to unroot deeper meaning and deeper feelings about the mariachi, where it comes from, and then even the struggle of ladies who in the past just had no way of playing and highlighting that. And I read a little bit about the storyline, so I'm going to ask you later on as well. Actually, we still have about a couple minutes more. So how about this relationship between the mother and Lucha? And I know you brought out the issue of Alzheimer's, and I think it's very, very clear through research that music plays a very important part in people who suffer from this condition.
Right. Well, I felt that was another issue that was really, really important. That disease crosses all cultures.
Right.
And we're all battling with that in our own families. I myself am dealing with that in my own mother's story, where she's has dementia now. David Ivers, who's was the artistic director here at the Arizona Theater Company's mother's got Alzheimer's. So a lot of us along the route of this journey that we've taken to tell this story have all had some sort of touch with that.
Right. So the Alzheimer situation, the mother-daughter experience, these women whom for maybe 2-3 decades wanted to enter into the mariachi sphere, and there were barriers, and they overcame those barriers. Am I getting the
You're right. You know what?
Yeah.
This is the Mariachi Bad News Bears.
Oh, that's a very good way to put it. Well,
They're underdogs,
yes, yes.
and you root for them.
Right. Okay. We are going to be going to our second break. You are listening to AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection. A play starts today. A play has come to Phoenix. It's called the Just American Mariachi. It starts today, and it's going to go from the 4th of April to the 21st. Wednesday through Sunday, with a little bit of a variation in the schedule, the time, but roughly Wednesday through Sunday, 4th of April through the 21st. Stay with us. We are going to take a short break, and we will be right back.
Arizona Hispanic Connection.
Thank you. Thank you for staying with us. This is AARP Arizona Hispanic Connection. The subject today, entertainment, American Mariachi. Please know that this is a play that starts today and goes through the 21st of April. Again, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Friday, it'll be at 7:30. Then on Saturdays, it'll be 2 shows at 2 p.m. and at 7:30. And then Sundays at 2 p.m. and at 7. And before we go on, is there something special, Jose, about when? This Sunday. What's going on this Sunday that is not going to happen afterwards?
Oh my gosh, this is a great time for the community to come. The theater's offering $10 tickets, and it's only for this Sunday. It's which is April 7th at 7:30. They have to come in person to get the tickets. They can't do it online. So first come, first serve. Apúrense.
So basically, just the 7:30 show, or both?
Oh, it's at 7. This Sunday
sorry.
at 7.
It's the 7 o'clock show p.m.
Yes.
Anybody who shows up to watch the view, to enjoy the play, I should say, will get. Is it at $10 off or at $10 cost? Oh, $10 a
Can't beat
person.
$10
Yeah.
tickets.
Now, what is a regular price?
Anywhere between 35 and 70.
And this is dependent on the seating arrangements, 30 and to 70 around.
Wow, that's a
okay,
lot, yeah.
yeah. So it's a bargain. I'm gonna try to go on that day. Hopefully, I'll
Bring your
I'll get in.
familia.
Yes. Okay. Well, I can imagine. And again, you told us Jose Cruz Gonzalez, the playwright, that it's been a hit. Whatever you have been, and it's basically sold out. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
It sold out both in Denver and at the Old Globe Theater. The wonderful thing about it was watching new audiences come in to the
Right.
theaters that have never had those audiences come in.
Now, I can understand Tucson is huge in mariachi, right?
That's right.
I mean, they have the Tucson International Mariachi Conference.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's a high school, I think it's Sunnyside. They used to have the Sunnyside, what was it? Dia de las Estrellas.
Okay.
So there was a lot of mariachi. El Mariachi Cobre used to play a lot there. And,
Amazing
now that I
group,
mentioned
yeah.
the Mariachi Cobre, would you kind of tell us the story about mariachis? As it was formed originally in Mexico and how it made its way to the U.S.?
Sure. Well, I think, when mariachi really sort of took off was when the radio happened
right.
in Mexico City.
Okay.
And so suddenly one of the beautiful things about it is that this music was able to reach out to not only different parts of the country, but also internationally. Like in Colombia, there's a big thing of mariachi.
Don't tell me.
That's right.
It has
'cause
reached
they
South
were
America?
They were listening to the radio programs back in those days.
Got it.
And so it just spread internationally. And of course, there's so many wonderful mariachi groups, but the one who's considered the world's best, Mariachi Vargas,
Right.
was a group that came from a little region of Jalisco, right?
Mhm.
But they were invited to go to Mexico City, and suddenly they become the president's, mariachi, and suddenly they start to perform everywhere. But also Don Vargas, the director of the group, also expected a certain level of
Quality, per se?
quality.
Mhm.
Yes. And so you began to see in that group, and of course, you're now putting this out there in the radio, they had to now start to change their songs, these sones that could go, minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes, whatever. Now they had to fit them in within time slot. So
Okay.
suddenly everything began to get more formalized.
Got it.
So the music got shorter.
Right.
Right? And so, and back in the 1940s, during World War II, that was a time in Mexico just for a little while where women were playing mariachi. But we don't really get to see it until the 1970s in the United States.
Now, so does that mean men were busy working, moving, migrating, perhaps?
We had the war,
Right.
and and like here in the United States, Rosita Riveter began to show up, and so in a way, those mariachis were the Rosie Riveters,
Right.
of their time. They were, I guess, called like that's a novelty act. Nobody took it serious, but but these were women who were playing mariachi.
Mm-hmm.
And here in the United States, then there were pockets of places around the United States, like Topeka, Kansas. There was a all-women's group there that started, I think, in 1974. Mariachi Estrella, I think, was the name. In Texas and California. And so that to me was fascinating to hear. And in California, we see Laura Sabirino Cano and a number of other women. There's a woman here that I interviewed. Actually, she is from Tucson, born and raised, became a mariachi, left. Her name is Catherine Baeza. And Catherine left at 19 to pursue her professional career as a mariachi in Los Angeles. Laura just came and saw the show on Saturday with her mom. She came, brought her mom, and she was completely blown away. And she was one of the people that inspired the stories in that play.
I see. Now, Linda Rostad, can you tell us a little bit, because we happen to be in Phoenix, Arizona.
Yes.
And she is, I have to say, the pride of Arizona. Can you tell us just a little bit about her?
Well, Linda Ronstadt is an amazing artist because, first of all, she was a crossover artist. But, she was doing, pop music. And,
didn't she play the song Blue Lagoon?
Yes.
I think that's the name of the song.
I mean, she also had her own hits.
And then she goes she crosses over. That's amazing.
Well, she's in pop culture,
right?
Rock star. She's just kicking it, she's an amazing artist. And then she does something unheard of, which is to say, I want to do an album in Spanish. And of course they said, no, that's not going to happen. Who's going to come and buy it?
Right.
And everybody, when she did Canciones de Mi Padre, it was a big hit.
Now, what's the story behind Canciones de Mi Padre? She must have heard her dad.
Absolutely.
Just like the story about, the Lucha, listening to her mother play those mariachi
really exactly
music.
that. That was what she felt comfortable with growing up, listening to that music, singing along. And, she is really truly a rock star in so many, many ways, a pioneer, right? But to be able to go back and to reach back to her roots and play that music has been really fantastic.
Canciones de Mi Padre. If anybody's listening, if you go to YouTube, you will find that show that she did. It is unbelievable. Yes. And you can say, one of the things that amazes me a lot, Jose, is that I think I shared with you off the air that my brother,
yes,
who happens to live in California, Carlos Parra, he made a mariachi, and that's how he makes a living, Mariachi Los Toros. And one of the things when I see, or when I have gone to Tucson to listen to mariachi, one of the amazing things that amazes me a lot is they're speaking in English. their conversations on and on and on, and all of a sudden they switch gears and they start singing in Spanish. Yeah. It's unbelievable, And then like Linda, I could tell when somebody's language is just like anybody would know that English is not my mother tongue, as they say. It's my it's the other way around too. I could tell when somebody's Spanish is not their first language, and you can kind of pick up those things. But in spite of anything, that Canciones de Mi Padre on YouTube, if anybody's listening, I really encourage you to it's unbelievable.
Well, too, when they recorded that, Vargas is in it, Jose Hernandez and his group. The best mariachis that they could bring together.
That
in fact, Cindy Flores, my musical director for American Mariachi, her husband, Pedro Flores, is considered one of the best vihuela players in the world, was playing, So they had quality. Ruben Fuentes, the guy who is, Mariachi Vargas, the musical director of that group for many, many years. This is really first rate, the best that you can bring together.
And this just shows what music can do. Look at this Linda, successful in mainstream, and then she crosses over and then she sings with Mariachi Vargas. Yeah. It's unbelievable.
Hey, here's another thing, just a little footnote. On the album, you'll see on Canciones de Mi Padre, Linda, in a sort of a really beautiful photo, sort of dating back to those old calendars, those paintings of the woman in her dress and everything. But you have the guy, the guy with the guitar. Well, that man on that photo is Daniel Valdez, and Daniel played my Mino in the first workshop of it in 2016 in Colorado.
Right.
So. and he sings with her on that album.
And this is another concept that I wanted to bring because when we come to music, I mean, I am a music freak. I love music. If anybody drove with me in my car, I have an iPod and I play all kinds of genres. Mariachi is one of them. Banda is another one.
Yeah.
Disco, the English music, the ballads, and everything. But one of the things that I've always noticed is that the only genre that really, really has made it, and I'm talking about Mexican genre, that has made it to the American, to the crossover deal, is mariachi.
Yeah.
Am I correct on that?
I think UNESCO, it's one of the treasures of the world, mariachi music.
So it did make the crossover. So it seems like other publics, segments of the population are very appealing to, or mariachi is very appealing to say Anglo-Saxon and people from other countries, and it's not like banda. Banda stayed in Mexico or maybe just with Latinos, but mariachi crossed over.
It's a yes, there's mariachis in England. There's mariachis, they're all over the world
And they
now.
sing in English,
in Spanish.
Lyrics? Wow.
You just have to go to YouTube and you'll find. I don't know where they're at in Europe, someplace I can't remember, but my gosh, they're really, really good. Their Spanish is excellent.
Amazing. If you're listening again on radio, please know that this will become a video and it'll stay on our Facebook page, AARP Arizona Hispanic Connection. This is a special show. It's called Entertainment American Mariachi, and it's a play. The name of the play is American Mariachi, and it starts today, the 4th of April, and it's going to go through the 21st of April. Wednesday, Thursdays, and Friday, it's at 7:30. Then Saturdays and Sundays, there will be 2 shows. On Saturday, it's at 2 and at 7:30. And on Sunday, at 2 and at 7. And this Sunday, particularly, it'll be a special price, $10. And did you say both shows or just the 7 o'clock show?
Just the 7 p.m.
Okay, let's make that very clear. Just the 7 o'clock show, the evening show. On Sunday, the cost will be $10. I know that's going to be sold out. I just know it. And that's the one I'm going to try to go, so I better come early, right?
Right.
All right. Well, stay with us. We're going to take another short break. And on the last segment, we're going to come back to the storyline of American Mariachi. What it highlights? What was the writer's intent to highlight? Women mariachi, the mother with Alzheimer's, the mother-daughter experience. I mean, we even learned that even the mother had the dream of becoming or being a mariachi was in her, and eventually it was like a dream come through for both the mother and the daughter. Stay with us. We'll be right back with this important or amazing program today. The subject again, Entertainment American Mariachi. We'll be right back.
Educate. Celebrate. Connect. Arizona Hispanic Connection.
Thank you. Thank you for staying with us. This is AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection, with a very, very, I would say, great subject today, American Mariachi. Who doesn't like mariachi? And it's got the name American because obviously this is a story of ladies who form a mariachi in the United States. In the story, according to the stories, is in the 70s, correct?
That's
this
right.
happens in the story.
Yes.
So take us back again to the story. I know, not everyone may have heard it the first time. So take a couple minutes more again. Jose Cruz Gonzalez, he's the playwright, to kind of take us through the storyline of this play.
Lucha's a dream catcher by accident because her mother, Amalia, is suffering with dementia. But once, as a young girl, her tia, Mariachi herself, back in Mexico, she just adored her and wanted to grow up to be like her tia. But of course, life happens, you
Right.
know, and you fall in love and you get married and you have children, and that dream sort of faded away, but not in a sad way.
Mm-hmm.
But she loved to sing.
Right.
And that house was filled with music. And now the music's not there anymore because of the dementia, because of, the situation with the family. And Lucha one day discovers that her mother awakens when she hears this old little record that her father had created many years ago for his wife.
Right.
And somehow that record gets broken. And so that starts Lucha on this quest to learn her mother's song before it's too late.
So she basically took it upon herself, knowing that music did good to her mother. That was the motivation, actually.
That's the motivation.
This is amazing.
And then the really crazy thing is that her mother's dream becomes her dream.
Right, because I read a little bit online that according to your story that you wrote, that was also the mother's dream when she was young, right?
Yes.
Can you elaborate just a little bit on that, on the mother's dream?
Sure. Sometimes we have those family members, when you're a kid, that they're just bigger than life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what her Tia Carmen was. This, bigger than life person that walked in that probably was 10 feet tall to her, who could play music like nobody could and just was electric in life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that excited her, and that was like something she would want to aspire to.
Right. So the dream, one was accomplishing it literally, and the other one inside of her, she was kind of living the dream through the daughter. Is that kind of like what happens in the story?
In a way, Malia is able to, when she's there, present. There are moments when, because Lucha, here's the thing, Lucha's her primary caretaker.
Mm-hmm.
So Lucha's got to bring Mommy everywhere. She's
Right.
got to bring her to practice. She's got to, wherever the band is at, that's where she's got to go. And of course, she's got to negotiate that so her father doesn't know.
Right.
And so there's a lot of wonderful sorts of opportunities and challenges as she gets through that, of course, because men don't believe that women should be playing music.
Right.
And of course, they have to be strategic.
Right. It's interesting because I off the air, I also share with you that on my wife's side of the family, there is lineage linked to the third generation of Mariachi Vargas.
Yes.
And I also said that many people who are listening to the show may know who Dueto Azteca is. El Dueto Azteca, is a husband and wife. Memo Quintero was the gentleman. He passed away. That was my wife's uncle. Wow. So they made it big. So on my wife's side, they are big in music. Actually, my father-in-law made a group using the kids. In other words, he formed his kids into a mariachi group. And believe it or not, they asked him, why didn't you include the girls? And even my father-in-law's dad was asked by his daughters why they wouldn't include the ladies, the girls. And he says, no, mija, that's not for you. So it is very obvious that back in those days, mariachi was seen as a men thing. So then this story comes along as one story where women literally became a mariachi.
And they're not conscious of that they're sort of breaking down walls, if you will.
Right.
They're just wanting to learn a song for this for Lucha's mom, but in so doing, they actually are creating something new in a new form here in this country.
So in the storyline, the beginning of the thought of playing mariachi for the sake of her mother, was that immediately in them to form a group, or it was just maybe just to start, small, maybe just play some mariachi music?
It was a moment where they go, well, if we could patch the words together to try to remember the song. Well, you can't just do it. You just can't do the song. You need to play music.
Right.
Well, we can't play music. Tio Federico would never allow that. And so suddenly why does he have to know?
Right.
And suddenly starts this crazy quest. The impossible dream, if you will.
Right. Now, I know you told me off the air, Jose Cruz, that you do additions when you move from one place to another one. In other words, you don't just bring the actors from one place and travel with them all over the place. Can you explain to us what the process is like?
Sure. Well, we've had the really great fortune of opening in Denver last year, a different company, but that same company went to the Old Globe in San Diego, so it was a joint production. Now, this production here at Arizona Theater Company is a complete new cast. There's nobody from the old cast.
Okay.
And it's a different director. And so we had to audition these artists from Los Angeles, from different parts of the United States. I'm really happy to say that we have 2 Arizonans
Great.
that were cast. One who was born, Marlene Montes, here in Tucson, and then made her career out in Los Angeles as an actor, and Osiris Cuen, who is from Phoenix, and this is her big debut. And I'm really proud that we were able to also involve local mariachis from Tucson. So these are homegrown artists.
Yeah, can you explain to the audience and to me as well, what is this? How does the theater work? So you're mentioning companies. So basically, you pitch the story to a company, a theater company. How does that aspect work?
So when we premiered last year, theater companies from around the United States came to see it, and so they then would reach out to me and say, we want to produce this at our theater.
Okay.
And so that means it's going to be, started anew from every aspect of it. And so in the future, it'll go to California. Next year, actually this year, it'll go to California. Next year, it goes to Dallas and Chicago. And those will be different productions.
So when you premiere, you basically play for everybody and you invite theater companies' representatives to watch it and see it. And then it's up to them to pitch the opportunity to share it with, or to work with them to show it in their city. Or
so the wonderful thing about the Denver Theater Center is they have a new play festival called the Colorado New Play Summit.
Okay.
And that year that we premiered there, they invite all the theaters producers from around the United States to come so they can go shop and look at new plays, but also new plays that are being produced, like American Mariachi. And because of that, that's how this evolved. So companies, this will be, for the next couple of years, it'll still be on the road, traveling around the country.
And if more companies come to you and offer, you obviously will continue.
I think, to me, yes. Our community needs love and needs their stories to be told.
Definitely.
And there's a lot of wonderful artists out there. And I'm just happy that we can celebrate this in a way and share it with families. And you're going to recognize your family. There's going to be somebody there on stage where you're going to say, that's my tío, that's my tía, that's my dad, that's my mom. That's me.
Right.
That's my story.
Right. So we have a couple more minutes, maybe 3. Tell us once again what excites you, what motivates you about this. I mean, just kind of highlight again those items of stories that are highlighted in the play.
You know what I love? What excites me is I love listening to the audience. I love watching the audience watch the show. And I love watching families watch the show. And I watch them very closely because I'm trying to see how they're tracking the show. And afterwards, I love to go out in the lobby and say, what'd you think? Because they don't know who I am.
Right.
Oh, I enjoyed it. Oh, it was this, it was that. You know? And it's so exciting to hear people talk about the show. And what a gift that
Right.
is.
Yeah, you know, as we are conducting this conversation, I'm just realizing all the nuances and the you know the what's highlighted in this. It is very cultural. It is very I guess people will be able to identify themselves with much of what is going to be happening with the mother-daughter relationship. Even women right now, that a lot of times their spaces are not that open for them in that regard. And it has like several avenues I see as I see it. Would you agree with that?
I totally agree, and it's been a I don't know, I've been doing this for about 30 years, but to every now and then something sort of, the universe speaks to you and it just comes and flows right through you, but it's been a gift to be able to be the one who can sort of put that out there.
Of course. Thank you so much. Let me see. I'm going to make this give the numbers again. It is Herberger Theater Center. Herberger, a little bit different to pronounce for me.
Not hamburger, not hamburger.
Not hamburger, but Herberger Theater Center, 3rd Street in Monroe. 222 East Monroe is the address. 222 East Monroe, but I'm pretty sure people know corners of 3rd Street in Monroe. It goes from the 4th of this month, 4th of April to the 21st. Wednesday, Thursdays, and Friday is at 7:30. Then Saturday at 2 and 7:30, and Sunday at 2 and 7. And this particular Sunday, the tickets on the 7 o'clock show will be only $10, and that's the one I'm planning to attend. Jose Cruz Gonzalez was our guest today. He is the playwright. He's the writer of this play. Jose, in 30 seconds, what would you tell the audience as final words?
Por favor, vengan y traen su familia. You're going to love it. Bring tissue because you're going to need it, and be ready to sing.
Perfect. Well, thank you so very much. Again, this is a platform that we use to educate and to celebrate. And obviously, this is a show that celebrates the accomplishments of these ladies who broke through barriers to form this mariachi. And at the same time, in love of Lucha's mother, understanding the issue of dementia or Alzheimer's, I should say, that it's hitting our community as well. And very, very culturally based and beyond. I'm sure anybody would love the storyline and the music. So Jose Cruz Gonzalez, thank you once again for joining us, and we'll see you at the theater.
Órale. Muchas gracias.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. This is all the time we have for now. Have a great, great day.
Oaxon presenta Inspector en vivo.